So, स्टार मार्क करके लिख लीजिए. Study of fungi is called mycology. Study of fungi is known as mycology. They are decomposers. The fungi are classified as decomposers. Decomposers in an ecosystem. Decomposers in an ecosystem. Right? This is their role in nature or on earth. These decay and participate in recycling of nutrients and minerals on this earth. On the earth. The best decomposers are the members of Basidiomycetes, members of the class Basidiomycetes. The mushrooms, these are the best decomposers. यहीं पे एक चीज और बता देते हैं. Conditions for decomposition or essentialities for decomposition. There should be some amount of moisture. Then optimum temperature. Optimum fungi cannot grow in very less moist conditions. Growth of the fungi can be inhibited at 2 to 5% moisture conditions. If the moisture is greater than this, if greater than 5% moisture, fungi invades. Right? The most invasive fungi, सबसे ज्यादा इधर उधर अलग अलग चीजों को नुकसान पहुंचाने वाली, is the sac fungi. Most invasive. Members of Ascomycetes. members of Ascomycetes. And among these, it is basically the yeast which is the most. Yeast grows almost anywhere. It would grow on the skin of the animals, in the hairs, on the plants, in our food products, anywhere. It can grow almost anywhere. We'll move ahead. Everyone has noted down this? Okay. We'll start with reproduction
Yes.
in fungi. Reproduction in fungi. Now this fungi reproduces both asexually and sexually. And it also reproduces by vegetative methods. Vegetative reproduction, you can say, or vegetative propagation. When a part of the body is used as such, part of the body is used as such. Right? The method is by fragmentation. The fungi reproduces vegetatively by fragmentation. Fragmentation is the method by which, right? Then asexual. Asexual reproduction by budding, as in yeast. Example, yeast. Now bud is miniature. It's a reduced form, miniature of the adult. If let us suppose a small human-like structure begins to grow from the surface of the human body, that would be considered as a bud. On this yeast, cell of the yeast, a small yeast cell begins to grow. आपने हाइड्रा में देखा होगा. Let this be the hydra. इसके टेंटिकल्स, ये इसका माउथ. Right. Here is the mouth. Now from the surface of the hydra, another small hydra begins to grow. A tiny hydra begins to grow. So this small tiny structure is the bud of the hydra. It's the bird. In the hydra animal. Hydra is not a fungi. Hydra is an animal. Budding may occur in plants. Budding may occur in animals. Budding may occur in fungi as well. Right. So on the surface of this yeast, a small bud grows. Now there is a very peculiar thing which happens in yeast. What happens is from this parent yeast cell, several buds arise, right? Now from these buds, additional buds arise, right? More buds. Now, buds upon bud, and the bud do not separate, and the bud does not separate. Now what happens is a huge structure is formed. This would keep on growing, and it will grow multiple times, become large and larger and larger. Like this. Right. Now this structure is not a true mycelium because these are buds. So we call this as a pseudomycelium. And this is happening in the yeast. It is only the yeast which forms the pseudomycelium. The pseudomycelium is formed in sugary solutions. Sugary solutions or syrup, you can say. जो घर में जो शरबत होते हैं उनको ध्यान से रखना पड़ता है. You should always cap the bottle in which the syrup is present. Otherwise, this yeast would start growing in it, right? And it grows by the formation of the pseudomycelium. This is budding, as in case of yeast, right? Yeast also divides by fission. Yeast also shows binary fission. Yeast also shows fission, that is splitting of the parent cell. Splitting of the cell. Right? Okay, I'm moving on to the next slide. And the third is by means of spores. By spores. Conidia. Conidia. These are exogenous spores formed outside the cell. Exogenous spores formed on special branches called conidiophores. Formed on special branches called conidiophores. I told you about this suffix. If the suffix is phore, if the suffix is phore, it means to carry or bear. So this conidiophore actually bears, these are special branches which bears the conidia. Let this be a hyphae, the cells. The cell at the top begins to divide and forms a chain of conidia. This is chain of conidia, and this structure is the conidiophore. This conidiophore may be single or branched. Now this diagram is given in your NCERT +2. There is a structure, and from this structure several such structures are arising. It's the penicillium fungi. Penicillium. And on these individually chain of conidia are formed. इस तरह से इसके ऊपर स्पोर्स बन जाते हैं. Right. Now this was asked. इसे क्या कहते हैं? The branches of this conidiophore are sterigmata. Right? And this is the conidiophore. This is the conidiophore. These are again the chain of conidia. Chain of conidia. Right? This fungi is penicillium. Penicillium. Right? Conidia are also formed in actinomycetes. Actinomycetes, these are a type of bacteria also called the ray fungi. If you remember, when I was teaching you, when we were discussing the kingdom Munera, I left this behind, actinomycetes. And I told you we'll be discussing actinomycetes during the study of fungi, right? So actinomycetes are also called the ray fungi. There are two reasons for actinomycetes to be called as a fungi. Called fungi because conidia are formed. They form conidia. Also, a prokaryotic mycelium is formed in these. This word actino means a star. Actino means star. Or radiating. पर इसे नोट कर लीजिए. Then I'll draw the diagram of actinomycetes for you. यहाँ तक clear है सबको? Conidiophore could be single. It could be branched as well. If it is branched, the branches are known as sterigmata. On its surface, on its tip, chain of conidia are formed, as in the case of a single conidiophore. Now let us move on to the second slide. Next slide. Now let this be a spore of actinomycetes. Actinomycetes bacteria. So when this spore gets an opportunity, it germinates. From a common point, it forms several thread-like structures, radiating away from this common point. And these resemble the fungal hyphae. And because these are radiating from a common point, hence the word actino. Now, such a structure develops. Radiating filaments. Hence, the word actino. Hence, the word actino is used. Right? Members the best two genera, Mycobacterium streptomyces Streptomyces. Mycobacterium are of three types. There are several types, but study these few types. Mycobacterium tuberculosis, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, Mycobacterium bovis, and Mycobacterium leprae. These two cause tuberculosis, tuberculosis. This causes leprosy. Streptomyces, there's several genera. The species, several species, sorry. The species produce the largest number of antibiotics. More than 30 types. More than 30 types of antibiotics are obtained from the single genus Streptomyces, right? Streptomyces species.